my dance make it hurt.
Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Unscrupulous Shit. Alright, I'm Nick,
I'm Robin.
and together
We're unscrupulous shit.
with the Sims.
Oh, my bad. Because I'm thinking like that's not really much of a compliment. But so thank you for coming back and listening to episode number 2. That means you took some type of liking to us. And episode number 2 is pretty much a follow-up to what we did in our last cast, which is getting to know each other.
Yeah, so this way, we spoke a little bit more intimately about ourselves in the first one. This one, we're going to be a little bit more professional, and this is what we're doing in our everyday, to try and make this family better, or in other words, just try to propel, us into the next step of our life.
Yeah, definitely. In not just making like the family better, right? Our kids do come first when we talk about our family together, but it's also strengthening us as individuals.
Yeah.
Because right, if you're sinking or struggling, our unit is comprised of 4. The unit won't sail or move as smoothly as it needs to. So I'm a big supporter of making sure that yourself as an individual is thriving before you can actually say you're helping somebody else thrive.
I agree. It's kind of like crabs in the barrel. If all the crabs are going to be pulling each other down, you got to be the first one out. And then, once your cup is overflowing.
Oh, I love that statement. That's one that I had grabbed from social media. The saucer. So basically, when the cup overflows, that's my motto in life. That's when I can really help others in whatever stance, not just financially. I mean in spirituality and advice. So if you have your teacup and it sits on a saucer, if your teacup is half full, if your teacup is 3/4 full, if your teacup is even full, right, you do not have enough to give to others. When that teacup is overflowing and it needs that saucer, right, to catch the tea or the liquid that's overflowing, that's you giving to others. So I am always prayerful and hopeful or aspire to have a teacup that's overflowing so that I can give to others. So not until I am at a level of overflow can I be of service to others. And that's the selfish nature of me to the fullest extent.
You know what? It's not a selfish nature. It's actually the way that we need to be. We need to make sure that we are self-sustained first. You can't give all that you have when you have nothing. Because then you will continue to have nothing. And
Absolutely.
We are about breaking chains, and we need to break the chain of poverty, especially in our community. So we are doing things that, our parents, some of our parents at least, didn't do before, and that's going to get into, like what are we doing for ourselves? So one of the things that we say, it's kind of like, what are we working on? What are we looking forward to?
Right. Getting to know each other, meaning you guys are the audience and us, we're Robin and Nick, you guys getting to know us a little bit more. So can't move towards the future without talking about the past.
No, absolutely. So you know what? I'm actually gonna ask Robin this one question. So Robin, what are you working on?
What am I working on? Yeah. But talk about the past first.
Talk about the past first?
Yeah, like
let's talk about the past.
Regret, right? So it's like when you think about the past, I'll ask you now. What's one regret you have in life? Not necessarily the biggest, just what's one regret you have in life?
You know what? My one regret right now is literally not having a mentor. And I want to say it's that one person who can just guide you on the path of not even just righteousness, just keep you in line, keep you in focus with your views, your values, and everything else. I want to say, I not typically coming from a broken home, but my family separated early when I was younger, and for me, it's almost kind of like we had to fend for ourselves. I definitely had my brothers, my sisters looking out for me. That's one thing. But at the same time, we're all kids. We're all learning at the same time. So, we're not at the level where we can be like, hey, this is the right thing to do. This is the wrong thing to do. So you're learning from your mistakes, and those are some of the things, you make some really big mistakes when you're learning like that. When you have a mentor, at least in my opinion, I feel like that one particular person can guide you, and be like, hey, you know what? Whatever you're doing, stop it. This is what you need to do. You need to come back from what you're doing right now and go in another direction. How about you, Rob?
Well, yeah, I think having a mentor is definitely something worthy of having. I feel like us growing up, I haven't really heard that word much in regards to having someone to look up to, but I can say the same. Like, I would have appreciated having a mentor. I know for the most part, right, learning through mistakes. Me too. I pretty much saw others as I grow up and decided I didn't want to be like them or didn't want to be like them, and I took the necessary actions. But but one thing to you, it's never too late to get a mentor. I can say that. There's always someone older than you. There's always someone doing more than you. And you could always be a mentor yourself, and that can help shape you, right?
No, absolutely. She's absolutely right.
Right.
So what's your regret?
I always say this, but I don't know if I were able to go back in time, if I would change it. I wish I went away to college. I wish I went away for school. More so because I feel like I would have experienced the world a lot more. I don't know where the trajectory of my life would have taken me. But I say that if I were to rewind things, would it be different? Not necessarily, because I'm like the biggest coward. I get homesick just knowing that I'm going to be away. So I don't know if I'll do it over, but I just feel like there were experiences that I missed out on, and my life has been such a I feel terrible. My life has been such a rocky mountain at a young age that it didn't even allow for experiences. Like in the last podcast, I mentioned leukemia at a young age. I had issues with my father and abandonment that I had to get over in my late teens, early 20s. And then right after college and into adulthood, we, as a couple, we struggled with infertility. So I feel like a lot of these struggles in life stopped me from living, if that makes sense. So my biggest regret would be, not biggest, but one of my regrets is not going away to college, because I felt like maybe I would have lived a little before leukemia hit, or maybe I would have been dead, if I put it that way.
I was going to say, like, if you think about it, if you went away to college, do you think you would have caught it? Because I actually remember how she got that diagnosis. So it just so happened that she was, getting her medical for her nursing program. And she
my physical. Yeah.
Her physical for the nursing program. And so when she went to go do it, her white blood cells came back ultra low.
Bottomed out.
So at that time she was freaking out. She thought she had some kind of STD.
I thought I had HIV. I had no blood cells.
So she was freaking out. So the doctor that she saw referred her to someone else.
Dr. Eisenberg.
And they did a biopsy. And they ran some tests on that. And that came back like, yeah, this is what you got.
Right. So what Nick is saying is, if I wasn't in nursing school getting my physical being diligent that I could have come to an instance where if I had an accident, I could have bleed out. I was basically, I was at high risk of like dying on the spot from.
Yeah, so, like one thing, let's say she went away to school, she was doing nursing still. I'm pretty sure she would need a medical to get back into school.
You would have.
Again, is there a high chance you wouldn't?
But I probably would have been reckless. I probably would have said, screw nursing school. Like, I'm living it up. But,
that's a chance that you take, so.
But yeah, you're right. Everything for a reason.
Definitely everything plays out.
Right.
So that's, a bit about our past.
Right.
And I mean, again, as these podcasts go on, we'll definitely release more and you will come to know us, just as much as we'll come to know you, hopefully.
Yeah, so in this, I'm going to put it in there. DM us on Instagram, unscrupulous_shit, and just let us know you're a part of the conversation. Give us feedback. Tell us what you want to talk about. Tell us what you're talking about.
And tell us what is your one regret.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I would love to hear that.
Yeah. And even not one regret. One of your regrets, right?
One of your regrets. Right. Absolutely.
Because you got 50 big-ass regrets.
But, not talking about your kids, okay? Leave them kids alone.
Yeah, leave them babies alone. But I am playing with an idea. I gave it to Nick. Talking with London. London is a tween, preteen, right? And I would just like for the audience to know, the world to know, where our little people are at in their mindset and development. And I don't want you guys to sell our kids short, not knowing what they know.
Absolutely. I think that's dope. But I mean, hopefully she's open, to join us on a few episodes. And yeah, we get to kind of dive into the mind of these tweens, because again, they're so fragile, and with social media, the news, everything else just bombarding them with information, sometimes they just don't know how to handle it. So this is our chance to know how they're thinking.
Yep.
So
all
we're
right.
on that journey together.
So we're done with the past. We're done with coming up with like talking with London because we're probably going to do it. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, because behind the scenes he was like, and now I spit it out and he's like, oh.
But you know what? Again, you're protective at one point, I mean, it's your kid, do you want to expose your kids to, social media all over again? And I'm pretty sure they're doing it by themselves, so it's kind of like, yeah, she is doing it already. Yeah, why the hell not?
Let's do it guided. Yeah, exactly. And don't judge us for our kid having social media because guess what? She wasn't allowed to, and she did it anyway. Absolutely. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, it's for another flavor.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
Life. Talked about the past. Now let's talk about the future, right? Let's skip over the present. For those of us who know us, you know us. We're working on things. I'll share what I am excited to work on.
All right, so let's do it like this. Let's share from a personal perspective what we're both working on, and then what we're working on as a couple.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna give you the ball. What are you working on, Robin?
Okay, I'm working on everything. So what Nick will tell you, because I'm surprised he hasn't mentioned it yet. I'm a nurse practitioner as of October 2021. Round of applause. Okay. But with that under my belt, what I'm working on is revisiting Zochic Inc. It's a nonprofit that I started back in 2016, and it's all about esteem, mind, and body for young women. London is my muse. Zochic sent me back to school, literally and figuratively. I wanted to be able to service my population to the full extent. And that means not just the mental health aspect of it, but also the physical aspect of it, because I am not pro abstinence or pro don't have sex. I am pro know the facts, make informative decisions. And a lot of these decisions will be better made if our young people, including our young adults, like all the way into your 30s, if you have more facts to make your decisions in regards to your body, who you choose to share with, the activities you get into. So that's what Zochic is about. I am working on gaining more speaking engagements. I have one or two under my belt at the moment, and I'm excited about it.
Hold on. Let me interrupt you
Yeah.
for 1 second. So hold on. You say the name of the organization is Zoshik. What exactly is Zoshik? Where'd you get the name from?
My husband will always put me on the spot to make me look better. Josique Guizel is a name that I actually Googled, Aztec goddess. I looked up goddesses. I think this was since 2016, 2015. I was looking for a name that was meaningful. So I found that and I abbreviated it, thinking that I was super unique, but I wasn't. Xochiq is a very popular name on social media. But with that said, she's a goddess of the woman's body, fertility, as a whole, just the woman. And by self-proclaimed, I am a feminist. And I fell in love with that goddess right away and decided to name the organization after Josique Guizel. And God forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. But yeah, that's where the name came from. So I'm working on that. And with my MP degree, I am also working on starting a telehealth boutique clinic for the individuals that I service through the nonprofit. And
what's the name of this clinic?
Studio Health.
And why Studio Health?
Because the name is true to who I am. Full-blown interview. Since I was young, I've always wanted to be an actress. I actually have a bachelor's degree in TV and radio. And studio is it's just me. Like, anything can be created in a studio. Any thought, any desire, whether it's cooking, crafting, painting, acting. So studio is me. And in health is obviously my industry. So I felt like me being a young adult that I consider I am, it's about putting a new spin on health. So when I think of studio health, it's that telehealth, that virtual, that easy access that I can reach my population. And it doesn't have to be the traditional make an appointment and be scolded by a practitioner. Oh, that's pretty much it.
In other words, modern medicine for the modern woman. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I coined that, guys. Love that.
All right, babe. So you're donned in your t-shirt.
All right, so I actually started this company called KCN Vibes with my brother, or my brothers actually. So KCN being the first letter of each one of our names. And don't get me wrong, I have more than one brother, more than two also. You know.
So how many brothers do you have?
I have 3 brothers, 1 sister.
Okay.
You know, on my mother's side. My father's side, you know how that goes. Look, we're from a Caribbean family, so Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, but KCN stands for...
So KCN is Kirk, Collington, and Nicholas. So KCN Vibes. And Vibes with a Z just for, you know, Caribbean. That's kind of what we are. So we are pretty much a lifestyle company. I want to say right now what we're doing is the Airbnb in Atlanta. And we also have a Turo. If you're not familiar with Turo, Turo is a car sharing, car rental app / business, almost like Airbnb as well. We have that in the Atlanta area as well. And so those are the 2 things that we're working on. We were going to do a Bitcoin, or I want to say crypto hedge fund. Crypto market is tanking right now, so that's something that we have on the back burner. It will come eventually, but you know, right now we're looking just to see how the market does. You know, so right now we're focusing more on the hospitality lifestyle brand of KCN Vibes.
Yeah, Nick is a big supporter of crypto.
Absolutely,
well, yeah,
absolutely.
Tanking or not, I don't know.
So, I mean, again, that's something that we will definitely get into as far as, you know, crypto investments, stock investments. You have to literally know a little bit of everything if you're going to make it in today's world, you know?
How is the Toro doing? Like, is it worthy of
you know what,
listeners venturing in?
So Toro is not available in the New York area, unfortunately. But outside of New York, Toro's doing great. I mean, Toro is a great way to rent your personal car, or even that extra car, you know, if you're not using it. And it's a good way to actually pay for your car. I'm not sure if you know what rental prices are going for these days, but I want to say I was looking at a car just yesterday, subcompact, 4 days, $400. So that's the average price for Toro. You're probably going to get that same car for about $200. So why not go with the cheaper option? And just like these bigger companies, you are insured. So you're driving an insured car, you're getting it personally from someone, so it's clean. No COVID, no nothing. So these are some of the benefits of Toro. You're getting it for a cheaper price. You're getting it more from a local, trusted source. Again, like Airbnb, each individual person is rated, and even yourself, you're rated. As far as how you keep the car, your cleanliness, and everything else. So, it pays to go with someone who's 5-star, 4-star, but someone who has business and who's continuously doing great business. The same thing with Airbnb. You go on there, you're not just looking for the cheapest price, but you're looking for someone that's possibly a superhost, that can guarantee that, you're going to enjoy your stay.
What's a superhost?
So superhost is when you have at least 10 consecutive stays, at least 5 stars up within a quarter, like a 3-month time period. So if you can keep that badge up, that means that you are doing a fantastic job. So superhost status is definitely prestigious. And once you get it, you try hard not to lose it, because again, it's kind of like being a Michelin star restaurant. You're the best of the best.
Okay.
So again, look out for Casey and Vibes. You can Google us, come right up, and yeah, book a stay, book a car. We'd love to have you.
Okay. So yeah, that's personally what we're working on. I have nothing to do with Casey and Vibes, and I say that in it sounds negative, but I say that in basically the promotion of Nick doing his own thing outside of me, right? I'm in his shot. Nick doing his own thing outside of me, and the same thing with Zochic and Studio Health. I'm trying to do it without him, but he always has.
She comes to me for the great ideas. That's it.
No, he is strong-willed, and he loves the idea of both, as you can tell. So, but nonetheless, it's my own thing, and I think it helps when you have separate stuff and then you come together and you have that synergistic effect.
But even, you know what? Even if you do have separate things, there's still ways that you're definitely going to help each other out, and that's what being in a relationship is about. She comes to me and she's like, Nick, I need some ideas for this project I'm working on. I'm going to give it to her. Just like, I went to her when we were starting up the business. I'm like, Rob, what do you think about this name? Or what do you think about us doing this color scheme? So definitely bouncing ideas off her, because I know that, she's another trusted source of information. So why not? So what are we working on together, though, as a couple?
We're working on keeping this marriage afloat. No.
Okay. Stay close to the microphone, baby.
Okay.
Going in and out.
My bad. Is this thing on? Yeah, it's on. Wow, what are we working on? So definitely we're working on this podcast.
Yeah, working on this podcast. So this is something that we've wanted to do for a while. And that's why we say this is almost like the second intro.
Yeah, and it's new to us. Like, we've been creative partners, and we have this creative nature for a long time now, but we're literally putting ourselves on Front Street. So the podcast is definitely something that we're working on as a unit. From a personal standpoint, so professionally, obviously, this is also business, but in a personal level, it's also a form of enhancing our communication.
Absolutely.
Right? And then second, well, what is our goal with this podcast?
The goal with the podcast is to grow it, again, turn this also into a lifestyle. One thing that we do as a family is we like to travel. We definitely take at least 1 to 2 trips every year. We're trying to make that more. I would love to do 3 or 4, and we do our individual trips, and then we do our family trips, so these are some of the adventures that we want to take you on as well. Like last year we did one of our biggest trips yet. We did a trip to Dubai, and the trip was awesome, and we brought a lot of family with that trip, or on that trip, I should say. And it's just a memory that you can't even explain, so doing these things together, brings the family even closer together, in my opinion. You know, so these are some of the things that we want to share with you.
Right. So if we vlog it and talk about it here, it'll bring us closer to you guys.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you know what? We'll actually throw little snippets in of the vacations and everything else. And again, just share our life with you. You know, so hopefully, you know, you can turn around and do
my life with you.
Yes. So hopefully you can turn around and do the same thing.
Yeah. And so those of you who know us personally and will get to know us, Nick and I, or at least I can speak for myself, I get a high from real estate. I love real estate. I love the conversations. I love learning about how you can manipulate things or work around things. Manipulate is a negative word sometimes. Work around things to get to a goal of certain real estate desires. And
she likes to be in control. But,
so yeah, I don't like that statement because I am working on relinquishing that feeling of always needing to be in control, and that's a personal share right there. I do like to be in control. I think that's a mix of being an Aquarius. I think it's a trauma response.
But you know what? Not to cut you off, there's nothing wrong with being in control, especially when it comes to business. You know, and you have to understand, real estate is business at the end of the day. Right now, we are landlords, and we have to be in control because, you know what, if we are not, then people have no place to live. You know, so we are in charge of other families' well-being, if you think about it.
That's true, and we try to be as personable and as good as we can be to the people we lease our units to.
You know, so
we have a total of 5 families. 5 families that we rent to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, right now we are working on acquiring more property as we speak. You know, so everything that we own right now is within the New York area.
New York City.
Once we are done with acquiring our latest property, you know, then we hope to venture out of the state a little bit. You know, so that's definitely going to be something to see. And I have my eyes set on a particular place. I'm not sure if Robin agrees.
Where are you talking about?
Like
Detroit?
Detroit is just, you know what, I think Detroit is one of those places where it's definitely a broken system down there. But at the same time, you know, if you have a means to go down there and acquire something, go ahead. You know, you can probably make someone's life better, you know, especially by fixing up their community. And we need to be the ones fixing up our own communities.
Absolutely.
You know?
I believe in buying the block.
Absolutely. So not the big banks, you know. I understand the big banks have the money, but, you know, when they come in, it's strictly business. They're not about us. They're not for us. They're just for the dollar sign.
Exactly.
And that's all they see us as.
Exactly.
You know, so we hope to put a different spin on that.
Yeah, and I wanted to put a transparent spin on things too, because it's always pretty as you look on from the outside. Getting a property is easy if you have discipline. Yeah. Right? It's not, I always say it's not about one thing. It's not about just your income. It's not about just your credit. It's not about just your debt to income ratio. It's all 3 of those things plus. And if you can stick to the goal at hand, like I always say, make sure it's a goal and not a wish, right? A wish is just something you always talk about, you hope for, but you're doing no work towards it. None. And a goal is what you're actually working towards. I remember, like Nick and I, our humblest beginning was we were early 20s. This is definitely after I had leukemia, right? Yeah. After diagnosis. So early 20s still, not yet 25. And we were engaged. And we Googled our credit, not Googled, we looked up our credit score.
Ooh, this is embarrassing, but say it.
You were 5'11". You were 5'11", and I was 5'23", excuse you very much. And I remember my credit got ruined because I had like a $350 card limit, and I used that to buy a pair of Timbs. And I look back and I'm like, $350 threw me under the bus.
I had a Macy's card.
Dude, that was in deep. That got what do you call it when they judgment?
Yeah.
That
Macy's card.
That almost cost us a house, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, so that was like the turning point. I remember sharing it with a friend at the time, and she was younger than us, 4 years younger than us. And she goes, "How are you guys gonna buy anything?" And I was like, "God damn." She's right.
Turning point.
Turning
in our life,
point.
And from then, we kind of just had to get our shit together.
We did. There was a point when we were saving for our initial purchase, and I didn't buy a pair of panties for like 18 months.
TMI.
Yeah, I'm just saying. One, because we lived in such a small space, I didn't have any place to put another pair of panties. But that's how cheap you got to be. Dream chases and sacrifices are never strangers for long.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, it's just a reminder that what you put your mind to, you can achieve. So that's why we're doing this podcast. If anything else, we had a dream to do one, and now we're fulfilling it. We had a dream to break chains and become multiple property owners, within our family, so we achieved that. So if you want success, you have to go after it.
Actively, yeah.
So again, I want to wrap this up, but thank you again for tuning in. And this is just another episode of Unscrupulous Shit.
Yes. Yeah. I'm Robin.
I'm Nick.
Follow us on Instagram. I'm AKA Bobby.
God's Reign.
And Unscrupulous_shit on Instagram as well.
Right. Thanks,
DM
guys.
us. Bye.